Hey, this is Mark A. Altman, and if you're a fan of this podcast, you already know the 50-year mission is definitive oral history of Star Trek, and Secrets of the Force will tell you everything you want to know about the history of Star Wars. But what you probably don't know is Ed Gross and I have a new book coming out this July. They Shouldn't Have Killed This Dog, the complete, uncensored, ass-kicking oral history of John Wick, Gun Fu, and the new age of action. Coming from St. Martin's in hardcover, digital, and audio. You can order it today. Hey, this is Mark A. Altman.
This is DAREN Doctorman, and we are the Inglorious Trexperts.
I thought it was a classic femme fatale. Just so much fun.
Like that Shakespearean lace in your acting.
I said, Gene, what do you want from this character?
I want you to just take the character and make it your own.
I had a good time on the film.
On day one, the movie was already $15 million over budget.
We started this movie without an ending. That's like painting yourself into a corner.
I don't think we've ever had a Star Trek captain on our show.
Being, as you said, number one on the call sheet, it is a producer's position if you're going to take it seriously. I was so glad they didn't cast me as Lorca.
You famously wrote that script in 12 days.
On one level, I wrote the script, and on another level, the story was written by everybody and his brother.
New episodes every Saturday, wherever you listen to podcasts, or download the Electric Now app. Keep on trekking. Ingloriously, of course.
Inglorious Trexperts, the only podcast for fans with a life, is available every Friday wherever you listen to podcasts and on the free Electric Now app. Download it today.
Hello and welcome to Best Movies Never Made, a podcast where we talk about interesting and infamous movies that never made it to or through production. Most of the time, the movies you're trying to make don't get made.
Like 4 of them may happen, 1 of them may happen, none of them may happen, and I'll be attached to 3 more things by end of summer.
Turn the script into something resembling like Unforgiven with Conan.
Yeah.
Sadly, the rights expired and the whole thing just like went away overnight.
New episodes will be available every other Monday. We won't see you at the movies.
Best Movies Never Made, as featured in Entertainment Weekly, is available wherever you listen to podcasts and on the free Electric Now app. Hey, this is Mark A. Altman, and this is the 4:30 movie, season 5, with I can't say 5 hosts because it's only 4, but your favorite 4:30 movie commentators are back, starting with Mr. Monday, Steve Melching.
Well, hi there. I can't believe we're still doing this after all these years.
Terrific Tuesday. It's DAREN Doctorman.
Hi there, kids. Welcome to Tuesday.
Wacko Wednesday, Mr. Ashley Edward Miller.
There are 4 hosts.
Of course, I'm Mark Altman on Thursday. Now, for those of you who don't know how this works or may have forgotten, we program a fantasy theme week of films from Monday to Thursday. And then on Friday, it's anything goes. Much like that little Nurhachi, he's a small guy. And we come to a consensus where for our Friday pick. And there you go. Hopefully, if all goes well. And there we have a theme week. Now, in the past, once a film was selected, it generally couldn't be picked again. It was out.
Unless we forgot.
You're out, Tom. You're out. You're usually out. But, as we were prone to bouts of amnesia, sometimes a film could sneak back in, but it wasn't really supposed to. Well, for the 5th season, we have come together, and it's anything goes. It's an all new 4:30 movie. Everything is eligible again.
Wow.
It's anything goes. Dun, 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 dun. Antidote. I got to tell you, for a movie that most people don't like,
love Dr. Jones.
Was actually picked a number of times on our show. Mm-hmm. It was only supposed. It was like I went. To prepare. I was like Steve today. I actually prepared. I found out. I was surprised to see how many times we picked Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
The only people who don't like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom are Steven Spielberg and Kate Capshaw.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
It's awesome.
Get over it.
And the usual
walk
suspects
from here.
Usual suspects showed up a couple of times. A couple of things. In fact, we inaugurated this podcast. This is way in the ancient days before everyone and their mother had a podcast. It was just us, a few other people.
Four of us.
Let me tell you about my mother.
We actually, you remember when we started to the first podcast? You remember? It wasn't even the 430 movie yet.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. What do we call it?
Actually, I think we did call it the 430 movie.
No.
It was a totally different format.
No.
It was like an entirely different podcast.
We didn't have a title for it.
We were trying to figure out a title. Based of a certain age.
Yeah, we were screwing around with a bunch of titles. We talked about this. How long ago this was? We were talking about Solo had just come out. And we were talking about the movie Solo and a bunch of other random topics, books we'd read, movies we've seen, TV we're watching.
Didn't we have a whole thing with the engineer in the booth, and we would have conversations with him?
We had the dating habits of our engineer.
Yep, that's right.
It was like a radio show. Are those episodes still available?
They're not. It's like The Cage. You can only get it in black and white and partially in color.
We should bring those back.
On our college lecture tour.
These are our first episodes that we put together.
They were kind of fun.
From many years ago. We hope you enjoy them. Remember, some parts are in black and white.
So then we basically did our second pilot. Now, our second pilot was indeed the 430 movie. This was something that those of us who grew up in New York knew very well. It was theme weeks on ABC, WABC. A lot of cities had these kind of movie theme weeks. It was back before the age of home videos, so you were sort of at the mercy of whatever was in the TV guide. And 430 movie was very clever. They would program things like Planet of the Apes Week and Science Fiction Week and Movie Monster Week, and it was really a lot of Disaster Week. A lot of fun. So this was our homage to that. And we inaugurated the show on August 20th, 2018, within the shadow of Star Wars Week. In the shadow of Star Wars Week, these were movies that were influenced by Star Wars. And I want to ask you, Steve, do you remember, Ashley has gotten this pigeonholed as the crazy guy, the wild guy, the Steve Martin of the podcast, in a sense. And he always selects things that are out there. But do you remember in the shadow of Star Wars what Ashley's pick was? It was pretty in the box back then.
Oh, I sure do. I got it right in front of me. I see what everyone's picks are. Ashley's pick, does Ashley remember?
I do. It was Battle Beyond the Stars.
Ding, ding, ding.
You are correct, sir. Well, Steve, this trivia thing is not going to go very well if you have the list in front of you.
If you have the answers. What is this, like a quiz show?
No, we haven't picked quiz show yet, which is surprising after 4 years.
I'm sure I picked quiz show. I must have.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie directed by Robert Redford with the great
Damn, I haven't picked it. It's so freaking good.
How did we miss that on the 430 movie?
I can see that Habsburg lip.
The following week on August 26th was Superhero Week. And not surprisingly, this is before we cemented our position. So Monday was Ashley Miller, and he picked what would have been Darren's pick, Superman the movie.
That's right.
But Darren, do you remember what you picked?
No, not at all.
That's right, because your pick would have been Batman 66, except Steve Melching took it for Tuesday. Unfortunately, you were in the unenviable position of being on Wednesday, where you picked Iron Man.
Oh, yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
I remember what Mark picked.
I'm sure you do. It was a movie you were very intimately familiar with.
That's right.
Movie
X-Men
you wrote.
First Class.
That is correct, sir. And of course, on Friday, the consensus pick was Black Panther. And we had a lot of fun the following week. 9/11 was 7 days of 007, where we expanded
We're
our
not
lineup.
going through all our episodes.
No.
For the last four seasons, we're going to
This is a walk down memory lane. And in fact,
walk in the park.
I want to, and we experimented with special guests. One week we had the great Ryan Condell, who's now the showrunner of House of the Dragon for HBO. He was with us for Sword and Sorcery Week.
Damn right. Which is a great episode, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great episode, and we had some great picks that week. Dragon Slayer, Conan the Barbarian, Excalibur, Krull, and Clash of the Titans. You know who picked Krull, don't you?
Oh, well, come on. Who wouldn't pick Krull?
A couple weeks later, Dee Devlin joined us for Alien Invasions Week, which was another terrific week. So I want to ask you guys, do you have a favorite week that we've done in these last 5 seasons of 430 Movie? I'll start with you, Steve.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'm fond of all the weeks. I mean, they're just so much fun as a cinephile. It's just fun to talk about movies from all different genres, all different eras, all different actors. I don't know. I am fond of the cheesier weeks, though, like Video Game Week or Sword and Sorcery Week. Those are a lot of fun.
You know, Ashley, I got to tell you, I was very proud because I thought that this week was going to be a disaster. The Ides of March week, which was our Shakespeare week. And it turned out to be a great week. And a lot of that had to do with your stories about Kenneth Branagh and working with him on Thor. But because, of course, we picked his wonderful Henry V on Wednesday, a more inside-the-box pick for you than we're used to. That was a great week, wasn't it?
That was an amazing week. And it was, and I agree with you. It's like, I think we all sort of went into that week wondering how interesting that particular week was going to be. But then it turned into a really great conversation.
The Shakespeare guy.
The
Shakespeare guy.
That is such a great story. Now, this story, a lot of you may think is apocryphal, but of course it's not. Al Pacino is a big fan of Bill Shatner. And we've told this story on our sister podcast, Inglorious Treksperts. But apparently when he was watching Generations, his Bel Air print, this is the prints that go around to the celebrities before, he wanted to see it.
Before there weren't any prints.
So he's watching Generations in his home screening room with a bunch of friends. And he's literally sort of doing his own audio commentary. And when Captain Kirk, falls prey to the machinations of Sauron.
And we're talking William Shatner, Captain Kirk.
That's right.
Chris Pine,
the real Captain Kirk. And Pacino is indignant. He goes, "It took a whole mountain to kill Kirk. He's twice the man of the Shakespeare guy. The Shakespeare guy falls and he cries and he's crying, but not Kirk. It takes an entire mountain to kill him." And if I had any doubts that I loved Al Pacino, they went away after that because that is some of the coolest things ever. And having the chance to share that story with Bill Shatner personally was a lot of fun. So I got to ask you, Darren.
Yes,
there is one episode of the show that never was broadcast.
What?
That was never dropped because we did it at a convention and the sound got screwed up. And of course, can you tell us what happened to the lost episode, the missing episode, the lost kinescope?
Was that the Joss Whedon?
It was. It was Whedon week.
That's right. And then we did that interview that we thought would make the week better, and it just
then it got canceled.
It got canceled. Does anyone remember? Because I think
somebody picked Serenity for some guy.
Well, I think that was Friday actually, because what I have here, and this may not be right because I tried to put it together because I do not have the audio.
Steve Melching put it back together.
Steve Melching, Toy Story.
That was the only one I could remember from that week. I couldn't remember what anyone else's picks were.
I think Ashley picked the Avengers, unless that was Darren.
Maybe.
Because then I have Much Ado About Nothing, which was my pick. Friday was Serenity. And then I have question marks next to Alien Resurrection. Did anyone?
Maybe Alien Resurrection.
Okay, I think you picked Alien Resurrection and Darren picked the Avengers.
Right, because I kind of vaguely don't like the Avengers.
Because we did this at the WhedonCon. And,
what did he have to do with Toy Story?
He wrote
it.
No.
Yeah, he did.
Surely not. Yes, he did.
Surely not.
In fact,
Shirley Winters not.
Not only did he write it, and I've told the story.
Shirley Temple not.
I've told the story before on the podcast. I had just seen him at a Writers Guild event. And then that weekend, I went to the long lost, lamented Crest Theater in Westwood to go see Toy Story opening weekend. And as I'm leaving, I see this guy ducking in the back row. I shall duck behind this. And it was Joss Whedon. And I'm like, Joss, what are you doing here? Did you see the movie? He goes, I just wanted to watch it and see how the audience reacted. And he was so chagrined.
Why does it say on IMDb then that the writers were John Lasseter, Pete Docter, and Andrew Stanton?
Because it
Look
lies.
at the story credit.
Look at these stories.
No, stories by Andrew Stanton.
Now, Joss wrote Toy Story.
He did.
Yeah.
Well, then he doesn't get a credit for it.
Well, Nicholas Meyer doesn't get credit for Star Trek 2, but he wrote it.
I don't know.
No, we know.
I don't know.
We know.
Maybe they took it off the credit.
Right.
Okay. We also did some great panels at Comic-Con. It's always great to do these live and see attract a whole new audience. There's always a huge spike after any Comic-Con appearance where people discover the show and get a chance to do it. Darren, we've done a lot of actor weeks. One of my favorites was Hackman Fever.
Right.
Do you remember what your pick was for Hackman Fever?
No. I can't remember what I did last week.
Well, that was an interesting week because Steve picked The Conversation. You picked, not surprisingly, dun, 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 dun.
Superman again? I don't know. I wouldn't have done that because it was already picked.
You did. Ashley Edward Miller picked Uncommon Valor. Interesting
Damn
pick.
right I did.
I picked Bonnie and Clyde, and our consensus for Friday was The French Connection.
Why
Great.
didn't I pick
Also, isn't that like where we first invented
I don't know,
the Muppet French Connection and all that other stuff?
That
was
may
that
be the
week?
first episode where we had the Muppets do a classic film, which
It's the Muppet Week.
That became a recurring motif.
I'm rescinding my selection and I'm picking Crimson Tide.
Okay, well, that was featured later on. Wasn't Under the Sea Week.
Probably.
I don't remember.
Darren, are you suggesting we do a special edition of that episode?
A special director's edition?
Well, I think there have been some really interesting. One of the more offbeat weeks was our Star Wars holiday special, which presumably you thought was going to be about Star Wars movies. Instead, Steve set us off on a very interesting direction with Steve.
Oh, the Making of Star Wars TV special.
That's right. And then Darren picked up on that thread with...
I think I said SPFX, The Empire Strikes Back.
You did not. You said the NPR Star Wars radio show.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Let's see how many of these we can...
I don't even remember these episodes.
It was the Gendy Tartakovsky Clone Wars.
Indeed, it was. And I picked Turkish Star Wars. And on Friday, the film we're all going to see at the Academy Theater on May 31st, Star Wars.
And by all, you mean you guys? And I'm
so
jealous. Unless I find a way out there and I mug someone and take their ticket.
Now, Gendy Tartakovsky, he was partners with Pokey, right? Gendy and Pokey?
Yeah, Gendy and Pokey. Yes. I'm Gendy.
Any book.
I have to say that obviously some of my favorite shows were our guilty pleasure episodes, but also I really love Secret Santa. Because this was where we picked a film that one of our compatriots had not seen that we thought they would like. And so we got to watch them for the first time. So Steve watched
Orgasmo.
And
thanks
loved
to
it.
Mr. Miller, I believe.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Darren, you remember what film I gave you for Secret Santa?
I remember watching it. I can't remember the title.
I'll say this for him. He's consistent. That was Wait Until Dark. Terrence Young's Wait Until Dark. Of course. Ashley Miller watched The Spanish Prisoner. Yep, that's right. And
right. That was from me.
Yeah, it was great.
I was graced with a movie about those damn free grazers. Open Range.
Which is a great movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I'll say my personal favorite week was actually either of them, but like the very first Movies We're Thankful For week.
Yeah.
We just all got so personal about these films and how they affected us on a very human level. And I think that it was just, I don't know, it was pretty raw. It was pretty real. And I dug it.
Yeah, it's so funny. I do too. I think those were really special weeks. We did it a couple of times for Thanksgiving, and it always was very meaningful. These special connections. Also, Mother's Day and Father's Day was like that too. Those were great weeks. And
Father's Day was very popular, actually, wasn't it?
Super popular. Some of our highest rated shows. Another show that was very personal that I personally enjoyed was New Year's Resolutions. This was an episode where we watched movies that we we'd never seen that we should have, right? So Steve saw Cinema Paradiso, We had a great spirited discussion about that. Darren watched Ordinary People for the first time.
Yeah.
And a great joy to me, joy and peace and contentment. I was thrilled to see Ashley Edward Miller watch Annie Hall for the first time.
Fell in love with.
Which was wonderful. And of course, I watched the great Harold and Maude from Hal Ashby for the first time. What a wonderful week that was to have a chance to watch all those films. And I will ask you this, and then I want to get to our first new week in a long time. What was the week you thought was going to be a dud? Because I know what mine was. I was convinced the monkey business would be a disaster. I just thought this was the stupidest topic for a show, and I couldn't believe we were doing it. And so it was really interesting. I'm looking at it, and I'm looking right now. It's like Steve picked King Kong versus Godzilla to start us off. Darren followed up with Mighty Joe Young. Ashley Edward Miller with Brain Dead, also known as Dead Alive. I thought we were brain dead for doing this episode. I picked the great Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which also showed up, by the way, on our 101 greatest sci-fi movies of all time holiday countdown on Inglorious Trexperts. And if you haven't listened to that, now that it's done, all 17 hours, mercifully,
it's
now
only
that it's
16 hours.
You wonder why we haven't done any of these 430 movies in a while. It's because we were busy recording these stupid 101 episodes for Inglorious Trexperts. It turned out really well. And I think we had a very spirited and interesting conversation about all these great science fiction movies. So if you haven't listened to that, you may want to check that out on Inglorious Trexperts. And
spirited is code for us sounding like we're drunk.
No, I thought it was no. And then Monkey Business concluded with on Friday with Kong Skull Island, which was very much in the spirit of the old 430 movie. So that was great. And I to this day, I'm still thrilled that our Films About Filmmaking Week, which I thought would be one of our lower rated episodes, that was a great week and a very successful week. So is there another week that you thought would just be, maybe you had the same impression I did of Monkey Business Week?
Oof.
For me, it was probably Hail to the Chiefs week, which I thought was an interesting idea, but I don't think it was our finest hour. Although I stand by my pick.
Me too.
Bob Roberts, which I love. I still love that movie. I think it's great and everyone should see it.
And I think my pick was Escape from New York.
Yes, it was.
#1, Duke of New York.
Yeah, but nobody picked Space Cowboys or what? Wait, no,
That's not
Presidents.
Space Cowboy.
That's not Presidents.
Did I pick Dave?
You did.
You did.
And I think I picked the American President, right?
And I think we had a special guest that week.
We did. That was Casey McKinnon. Friend of the show, Casey McKinnon picked My Fellow Americans, and Mark picked All the President's Men.
Oh, there you go. Even better. The great Alan Pakula classic. Is anybody watching Severance? Right?
Not yet. I plan to.
I've watched 3 episodes of it.
You don't like it, huh?
I don't enjoy it while I'm watching it, but it's interesting to think about afterwards.
That's so interesting. I kind of have a similar feeling about it. It captures very much, it feels like the conversation. You know, it has a feeling, those old, or Parallax View, those old 70s things, but it's not as good. You know, it's like, I think it's very well directed. The production design's great. And Adam Scott's terrific. But yeah, I agree. While I'm watching it, it's not a very
Adam Scott always looks like he's wearing a mask.
Does he?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
He's got a strange shaped jaw and he creeps me out.
I'm just glad Party Down is coming back.
Party Down is so good.
Yeah.
Are we having fun yet? Are we having fun yet? Well, we're about to, because we are about to inaugurate our 5th season, the best of the 430 movie. What does this mean? It means that we are each going to pick one movie that has been, including myself, one movie that has been on the show before. It could be one you picked. It could be one someone else picked. But it's going to be one movie. We're going to program the ultimate 430 movie. Now, the criterion doesn't necessarily have to be the best movie. It just, for whatever reason, this is the movie you want to pick for this week.
Simply the best.
It's better than all the rest.
And it's so funny. We don't have any plans to do this episode, but after hearing that quiz show has not been picked up, I think we need to do great movies that haven't been on the 430 movie yet.
That's true. We forgot about we.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish that movie needs to be on 4K disc.
You can have a quiz show. You can have the Chuck Barris movie. You can have.
Thank You for Smoking.
Right. And there must be other game show based movies.
By the way,
right?
The Stephen King one.
Misery?
No. With
The Running Man?
The Running Man.
Oh, The Running Man. Yeah, I suppose that is. Sure.
Have you ever picked The Running Man?
We have not.
I don't think so.
How did that fucking happen?
But we did pick Walkabout. No, we did not.
I know. How did we not pick Walkabout? Like, did we not have Jenny a Gutter Week?
Well, maybe we should.
I think Ashley picked Walk the Line at some point.
He did. He did for Oscars. Not. It's an honor not to be nominated. Which was was another great week in honor not to be nominated. And it was so important to shine a light on these movies, because clearly the Academy is not doing anything to honor great filmmaking. Great filmmakers.
Not anymore.
I mean, and we haven't even talked about that. But it's an honor not to be nominated. These movies that were nominated for Oscars that should have won. Do the Right Thing was Steve Melching's pick. Darren picked. Do you remember what you picked, Darren?
Did I pick Blade Runner?
Klaatu Barada Nikto.
Oh, Day the Earth Stood Still.
That's correct. Ashley.
See, I got that one.
Ashley picked Walk the Line. My pick was David Lynch's Blue Velvet. And the consensus pick was that movie that Ashley can't stand, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Not that I can't stand it.
It's no Chinatown.
Love it. It's no Chinatown.
Yeah,
it's no Planet of the Apes.
It's no Planet of the Apes.
So that was great. But I have to say, before we start, I think the greatest accomplishment the show that I thought was nearly impossible for us to pull off, we did. And do you know what that show was?
Michael Caine Week.
Spoiler week. Spoiler week.
Oh, right.
Started the man. It's the Crying Game.
Started as a joke over lunch, because we used to record like 5 or 6 of these a day in the at the studio before the dark times, before the pandemic. And so at lunch, we'd break for lunch after we record 2 or 3, and we were just punch drunk. And we came up with Spoiler Week, and we were doing it. He's actually, actually sold his soul to the devil.
The whole time. Tonight, before the movie.
And we thought that we were just so pleased with ourselves, so pleased. And we said, this will be a great episode. Problem is, when we got into the studio, like, how the hell are we going to do this? And it turned out to be just a delightful episode. So, anyway.
All right. Spoilers are awesome.
Before I spoil this episode, let's begin. And we're going to start.
Shall we begin?
You may recall the episode start with the great Steve Melching on Monday, who will be the first to program the best of the 4:30 movie.
Well, thank you for that kind introduction. So I interpreted the best of the 4:30 movie maybe a little bit differently. What I did was I looked at all of the films that had been picked over the course of the show, and I listed all the ones that I had not seen at the time of the recording. And I ended up with about 25 or 30 films that had been picked over the years that I didn't see. And then I looked at the ones that I watched because of the show, because of our conversations. And there were a few that I watched that I really liked. I really liked Gunga Din. I'd never seen that. Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. I'd never seen all of. I just watched that about a month ago. It was a lot of fun.
While the cleaning lady was there.
Eat it, woman. Capricorn 1, which I had never seen.
What?
Wow. How did that happen?
I just slipped through the cracks. And
that's a treat.
So I settled on one that made something of an impression on me. I mean, I liked all of them, but this one I particularly liked. And it was a pick that DAREN DOCHTERMAN made, I think, for College Week. And it's The Paper Chase.
Harvard Law School, Cambridge, Massachusetts. Since its founding in 1817, it has produced 75 United States senators, 200 congressmen, 11 Supreme Court justices, and an undetermined number of dropouts and breakdowns.
That's just a screamer, man. Screams every Friday and Sunday night at exactly 12.
This is James T. Hart, class of 76. He has a birth certificate, a driver's license, a high school diploma, a draft card, a college degree, and he's about to spend 3 more years of his life chasing another piece of paper.
Loudly, Mr. Hart. Fill this room with your intelligence.
I haven't read the case.
20th Century Fox presents The Paper Chase.
All that stuff about grades is true.
So good.
It aired on TCM at one point, so I DVR'd it and watched it, and I thought it was terrific. It's a film from 1973, written and directed by James Bridges, who had also done Colossus: The Forbin Project, The China Syndrome, and a favorite Clint Eastwood movie of mine, White Hunter, Black Heart. It was based on the 1971 novel by a Harvard graduate, loosely based on his Harvard law experiences. Cinematography by Gordon Willis. Music by John Williams. Starring Timothy Bottoms, the luminous Lindsay Wagner, Edward Herman, and of course the great John Houseman as Professor Kingsfield, who won the Oscar that year for Best Supporting Actor for that role, and then reprised that role in the television series that followed. They did 4 seasons of a television show, 1 season on network and 3 seasons on Showtime.
Yep.
Yeah. I never saw the Showtime ones, but I remember seeing some of the
Shout Factory put them out.
Ones. Oh, did they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they put the CBS and the Showtime.
Here's a dime. Go and tell your mother that you won't be on the 4:30 movie.
But I just thought it was terrific. It got 3 Oscar nominations: Best Screenplay, Best Sound, and Supporting Actor, for which it won. And Houseman also won the Golden Globe that year for that role. And it's just a terrific movie about all the old anxieties about college bubbled back up to the surface while I watched this thing. Watching Timothy Bottoms and his classmates deal with this professor who, expected nothing but the best from his students, and that anxiety about also trying to navigate the social part of college, where he's trying to date Lindsay Wagner, who he learns is actually the daughter of John Houseman's character.
This isn't spoiler week, Steve.
And she's also bionic.
Yes.
Plays a mean game of tennis. He couldn't realize why he kept losing at tennis there. She's a tennis pro.
I just thought it was a terrific movie, and I'm really thankful to the 4:30 movie and all our conversations for, bringing up films, like, advocating for films that we might not have seen. And
Steve, that's a freaking great pick. It's not available on Blu-ray. It's only on DVD. It's hard to find. I think it might be on HBO Max right now.
Oh, that's right. I streamed it. Yes, it was on a streamer.
Yeah, very hard to find. I do think you can buy it on iTunes. It's really funny, Steve, that you mentioned this film. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was having a delivery, to the house, because of pandemic, a lot of these places, they deliver stuff instead of you going to the store to pick it up. And the guy's name was Mr. Hart, who delivered it. And so I couldn't help myself. So I'm like, Mr. Hart, I said, have you ever watched The Paper Chase? He's like, what's that? And I proceeded to bore the hell out of him, explaining to Hart The Paper Chase. I did the whole thing with, here's a dime, call your mother, you're never going to be a lawyer. And, it's funny. He said, I'm actually a big movie fan. I got to watch that. I don't know if he was just indulging me or not, but he
probably just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he really wanted to leave.
but I was going on and on too much. And then my wife comes up and she's like, what's going on over there? You're with that guy for 20 minutes. I was like, his name was Mr. Hart. So I was like, thanks. I don't know any other Mr. Harts, but I was trying to explain the genius of John Houseman. I think it was going a little too far, because here the guy was like delivering my iPad or whatever he was bringing, or my Apple Watch, and it's and at some point I'm like, and John Houseman was like the producer with the Mercury Theater on the Citizen Kane. I said, you really should go. It's just ridiculous. But I'm so glad you watched it. I love The Paper Chase. I think that's a great way to start the week. It's just a fantastic movie. And that brings us now to Darren, who had a different criteria for Tuesday.
I didn't necessarily have a different criteria, but I do have a different outcome. Thank you. I'm picking the movie that is probably, if not my favorite, close to my favorite. It's a movie that everyone has seen at least 10 times, probably more. But we grew up with it on television. Every spring, I think they would put it on. Maybe it was during Thanksgiving. I don't really remember. was a long time ago. But the great thing is that Warner Brothers has treated this movie so well and preserved it so well. Even we can't read that.
No, I'm going to try.
He's about to turn it around. It's his guest.
Yes, card. In fact, it is. I've given you many clues that led to that, and it is in fact 1939's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
No one has dared the towering task of giving life and reality to the land of Oz and its people. Every delightful character of L. Frank Baum's classic is now reborn. Every glorious adventure has been recaptured and painted with a rainbow. The celebration in Munchkinland, the flying monkeys, the rescue of Dorothy, the castle of the witch, the palace of Oz, and Dorothy's strange journey to the Emerald City to find the wonderful Wizard of Oz himself.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. We hear he is the Wizard of Wiz, if ever a Wiz there was. If ever a Wiz there was, the Wizard of Oz is one because of the wonderful things he does. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz.
And it is, I was gonna spoil it by giving the cast list. We have Hickory and Hunk and
Dickory and Doc
and Nico and Emerald City Manicurist
and the Lollipop Guild.
And the muscle behind the Lollipop Guild. It's a classic. The music is wonderful. Everyone goes away humming the tunes. Judy Garland is luminous, and everything else is too. It's a magical movie. It is pretty much the showcase of old Hollywood. All the techniques from old Hollywood coalesced into this amazing creation. The production was a mess. Development was horrible. They went back and forth trying to find a cast. They had several very close to death injuries on the way to making the film. And it's really an amazing story of how this magical 2 hours was put together. But man, it's such a wonderful experience, even on a tiny little black and white TV set where I first saw it. But seeing it in a theater, as I did when they released the 3D version, I went to the Chinese theater and saw it in its beautiful restored version in brand new 3D, which they did an amazing job with. And holy cow, it looked brand new. And the version that you can get on home video now is pristine, and is so good that children and adults these days can experience it way better than people who saw it originally released experienced it. So it's really a testament to the magic that Hollywood used to mean a long time ago, back when they didn't have separate tables for the actors and the craftspeople. It's really a wonderful monument to the magic that was Hollywood.
Darren, you make such a great point, because I went to that screening too. I'm not a big fan of 3D, but I wanted to see Wizard of Oz in the theater with my daughter, and it was an amazing experience. They did such a beautiful job. The 3D was great, and it makes me I'm disappointed because during the pandemic, a lot of theaters, at least in Los Angeles, did these rent the theater, right? Where you could rent the theater and they would give you choices. And generally the choices were the most anodyne things. It was like these almost virtually direct-to-video movies and like slasher films and a bunch of crap.
Stuff they had handy.
Yeah, or stuff that, the only stuff that was being released during the pandemic. Why they don't give you the option, but some of the theaters are still doing it, to see stuff like The Wizard of Oz. And, recently they just re-released The Godfather. It's like, I would be renting a theater every week to see half this stuff if they would do these classic films rather than just the new releases.
Yeah, I rented a theater for Back to the Future.
Yep, that was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
You went back to
I thought you were going to expound on that.
Okay. But that's Wizard of Oz. Look, that's a fantastic pick. Obviously, wonderful movie. I think the biggest problem with picking it up for Tuesday is that the parents on the podcast are going to feel so comfortable with the 4:30 movie that things are going to really go to hell on Wednesday when Ashley picks his film. And like, wait, we thought this was we thought
this was okay for kids. What are you doing?
Guys. I can't even tell you how excited I am for Ash Wednesday.
Paso Pasolini Solo.
My process was very similar to Steve's in the sense that, no, in fact, it wasn't similar to Steve's at all. I just thought about, Wednesday has become a very particular thing on this podcast. And even like when it wasn't Wednesday, even when it could have been any day before we decided that everybody had their own day, and I landed on Wednesday. And I realized that for the best of the 4:30 movie, for Wednesday of the best of the 4:30 movie, I needed to pick the most Wednesday of all Wednesday picks. Now, I'm going to give you each a chance to write down what you believe my pick will be for Wednesday.
Most out of the box pick.
Dun, 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 dun.
Can we have a hint? Can I have a clue?
I think he's already given us a clue.
I have given you the hint. Dun, dun, dun. So are you guys ready?
No.
I got to write it down. I just got a pen.
I'm still thinking. So I want to parse that. The most out of the box pick.
The most Wednesday of Wednesday.
The most Wednesday of all Wednesday. Okay, I think I know.
Most Wednesday of Wednesday.
Okay, I'm changing my vote. Okay.
I have something written down.
I do too. Okay, very good.
Now, shall we reveal the votes or shall I reveal the choice first?
You can reveal.
Let's reveal the votes first. Darren, what did you think? I can't see
What's it say?
Adam's Family. Well, that's a clever pick. That's clever because Wednesday.
Because Wednesday, yes.
Mark, what did you choose?
My pick was the Dabney Coleman classic, Cloak and Dagger.
Okay. Steve, what did you pick?
I almost picked Adam's Family as well, but I went with an old standby.
What does that say?
Heavy metal.
Heavy metal.
I will tell you that on tonight's podcast, we have a winner. Mark A. Altman correctly intuited that my pick for the best of the 4:30 movie, the most Wednesday of Wednesdays.
Can I cook or can I?
That's right. Richard Franklin's film of a Tom Holland script starring Dabney Coleman and Henry Thomas, 1984's Cloak and Dagger.
His game is make-believe. Their game is murder, spying, and sabotage.
This is starting to get good.
What?
Just like Cloak and Dagger.
Fire!
Now any move could be his last.
Trying to kill us.
Now, come on, this is Cloak and Dagger. For real, it's what you always wanted.
Cloak and Dagger.
Now playing at a theater near you. Consult your local listing.
You mean Spider-Man wrote it?
Yeah, exactly. First picked for Video Game Week and became a running joke on this podcast. I mean, look,
it's a running and ducking joke.
Running ducking joke. The pedigree on this movie is pretty interesting if you think about it. I mean, look, first of all, Richard Franklin directed Psycho 2, which I think we can all agree was like an audacious bit of
way better than it ever deserved to be.
Way better than it ever deserved to be. The score is by Brian May, who scored Mad Max and The Road Warrior. And the scores don't sound like that at all. And then written by Tom Holland, who is quite an excellent writer. And, it's interesting kind of going back and kind of looking at some of these films and kind of thinking about some of the things that these guys did. Like Tom Holland in particular, what he is most known for is Fright Night. Right. Yep. He wrote it. He's
writing a comic. It's based on Fright Night right now.
Is he really? That's fantastic. And, he it's interesting looking at his stuff. He's considered a horror guy, but the truth of the matter is, Fright Night is a little bit Rear Window. He is kind of doing a Hitchcock shtick, but in different genres. And if you look at Cloak and Dagger in sort of a cockeyed Tom Holland way, you see a little bit of North by Northwest, which I think is fascinating. There is a bit of a Hitchcock sensibility to this film. I mean, unfortunately, Richard Franklin is one of those guys we would describe as a journeyman. He's a director who really will never elevate the material, but he will get the material where it needs to go, more or less. He's okay. I think in the hands of the Tom Holland who directed Fright Night, this would have been a more interesting film, because what you can detect behind it is something that Tom Holland is kind of wrestling with. It's, relationships between boys and their fathers and imaginary friends, and, just becoming an adult and dealing with grief. And it never quite manifests on the stage, but if you sit back and you look at the story, it's there, and it's really interesting. Dabney Coleman plays both Henry Thomas's father and his imaginary friend, Jack Flack, who is a video game spy hero that Henry Thomas wishes that he could be. And it's hard to miss the connection between those two characters, the difficult relationship with father, and then the imaginary friend that he wishes he could be. And that at the end of the movie, the imaginary friend is the one who goes away, and the real friend, the person who truly loves him, his father, is the person who finally emerges. Again, it's Wednesday. And the idea behind Wednesday is that we go out of the box, that we choose the thing that we're not thinking about most of the time. But there's a lot to recommend this movie. It's more interesting, I think, than we give it credit for. And I think that Henry Thomas, look, he was a find. Not for this movie, obviously. It was like he was a find for E.T. But he's a good little actor, and he grew up into like a good adult actor.
You got the job, kid.
Exactly. That was his audition, right? Like, he got the job because he came in and he cried, and it was just crazy. He's good. And Dabney Coleman, there is an actor who deserves to have, even though he doesn't have the filmography for it, he deserves to have a Dabney Coleman week on the 430 movie.
9 to 5.
Yeah, he's just that charismatic. He's just that good. He is just that good. So there you go. Cloak and Dagger, 1984. And in the context of this podcast, notable for the most callback jokes, I think, for any 430 movie pick of all time.
So you're saying that you've picked this because of its untapped potential rather than its actual state. Is that what you're saying?
Also, and we kept talking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks after I picked it.
Like, during Spy Week, we're like, what? You're not going to pick Cloak and Dagger?
It's one of those movies that I haven't seen. It's at the top of my list of movies picked on the show that I haven't seen.
Well, I have to say,
picked twice.
I thank God that we never picked Gotcha. Because I love Gotcha. You would have gone with Gotcha or Megaforce on Wednesday. So
I don't know about Megaforce, but Gotcha I totally would go for. So be prepared. At some point, Gotcha is going to happen.
Not to be confused with Gotcha Man.
Well,
also Gotcha Man might be picked. I
have to say, on one hand, I'm very proud that I was able to predict your pick. On the other hand, I'm very scared that I was able to predict your pick. Get out of my head.
But you get out of mine, actually, as it turns out.
Yeah. Oh, that's scary. Some scary stuff going on. Okay. Well, that brings us now to Thursday. And it's funny. I was really trying to think about what does a best of 430 movie selection really mean? Are we going for the best movie? Are we going for the most unique movie? Are we going for the movie that we're most hoping people discover that's kind of more obscure. And I went down a lot of my favorites. Goodfellas, Notorious, Annie Hall, obviously, The Godfather.
I thought you weren't going to
North by Northwest.
But I'm like very Thursday, by the way. Mark lists a shit ton of movies that aren't his pick.
But ultimately, what I realized, the film that I wanted to, that's my pick. It happened for a number of reasons, and it was kind of instigated by a book I just read. Terrific new book. It's an oral history, not one written by me, believe it or not.
Okay.
It's by Kyle Buchanan from the New York Times. He just wrote this terrific oral history called Blood, Sweat, and Chrome: The Wild and True Story of Mad Max Fury Road, which is a terrific book. And if you haven't read it, I thoroughly recommend it. And my pick is Mad Max Fury Road.
In this wasteland, I am the one who runs from both the living and the dead. A man reduced to a single instinct. Survive.
It is by my hand. You will rise from the ashes of this world.
We are not things. We are not things.
Where is she taking them? I want them back! They're my property!
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
And I'll tell you why. This to me, not only is the movie itself pure adrenaline, but the passion, particularly in recent times, where the Oscars have relegated production designers, composers, sound designers to second-class citizens.
Editors,
which is ridiculous.
This is a movie more than virtually any film I can think of in recent memory that celebrates all those crafts. The production design is brilliant. The editing is superb and won an Oscar. The sound design is spectacular. Junkie XL, Tom Hulkenberg's score is fantastic. So all those, elevate this movie beyond where it should be. I mean, I know a lot of you are huge fans of Mad Max, and The Road Warrior is I never was a huge fan of Road Warrior. I certainly wasn't a fan of Beyond Thunderdome, but I love
it does elevate it beyond Thunderdome.
It does. Yes. But I think Fury Road is amazing. And more than that, Fury Road is a testament to the passion of one man, George Miller, because, of course, this had been something he had been thinking about for years. And then they go, right before 9/11 to Africa to shoot it. And 20th Century Fox shuts it down. Yeah. Any other director, that'd be it. It's done. It's done. Instead, he keeps working on it. And he manages to, after the success of Happy Feet, to resurrect it at Warner Brothers. And then time and time again, Warner Brothers stands in the way. They don't understand what he's doing. He has two stars who loathe each other. The studio's looking at dailies. They don't know what to make of it. The money is going, through the roof. And we know what can happen with these runaway productions. But the funny thing is, this is a runaway production that wasn't a runaway production. George Miller knew exactly what he was doing, but he couldn't necessarily articulate it to anyone until they saw it. It truly defines auteur in the best sense of the word. So, are there better movies than Fury Road? Absolutely. Are there movies I like better than Fury Road? Yes, for sure. Are there better written movies? But there's something about Fury Road that is the ultimate FU to the corporatization and the metazation and the algorithmization of the film business. And for that, I embrace it. I celebrate it. I love it. And that's why it's my pick for Thursday on the 4:30 movie.
I think that's a terrific pick, too. I will also say it's notable for me personally because it was the first movie I had seen in focus in 10 years, because I realized that I actually did need glasses, and I got them. And I went to see Fury Road the day that I got my distance glasses, and I saw it in focus, and I was just blown away by how great movies can look when they're not blurry. It was fucking revelatory. But no, it's a great movie, and it has one of my very favorite action scenes that has no action in it whatsoever. Is
that the time where they're racing through the desert?
No, it's it's when Mad Max goes off to kill a whole lot of bad guys, and we're all sort of waiting with the truck, and then in the distance. And then he comes back, and he's covered in sand and other people's blood, and he starts washing himself off. It's fantastic. I love that movie. It's shiny and chrome.
The obstacles that were thrown in George Miller's path were just, this is a 70-year-old director out in the desert for, 7 months or 8 months or whatever it was, 9 months. Making this, insanity. It's not unlike Hearts of Darkness. In Apocalypse Now, and it's just, it's crazy.
Well, it's a little different because it didn't sink a studio.
No, that's true. That's true. Well, no, Apocalypse Now didn't sink a studio. Apocalypse Now did okay. It was Heaven's Gate that sunk United Artists. Apocalypse Now did okay.
Pretty close.
Yeah, and no, it did okay. It was One from the Heart that killed Coppola after that in '82. Well, not Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now did very well. One from the Heart Beeps. That great John Williams score.
I just want to say, when I went into Fury Road as a moderate fan of the Mad Max films, I love The Road Warrior. Mad Max is okay. I'm not a huge fan of Beyond Thunderdome, and I was so blown away by Fury Road. It was the most relentlessly inventive movie I had seen in years, and I was just astounded by the visuals and the storytelling and the music, and it's just an incredible film. And just about a month ago, I watched all 4 Mad Max films, and this was the one I was looking forward to revisiting the most, and it never fails to deliver.
Did you watch the black and chrome version, the black and white version?
Not this time around, but the last time I watched it, I did.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It looks great.
But I love the color design in it, so I went back to the color because I love his use of color in the film.
Yeah, I the color version obviously is spectacular. The black and white version, there's some shots which look just incredible in black and white, but it's not true of it wasn't shot for black and white, so there's some shots where it doesn't work, but there's shots where it's just you're in awe of it. It looks
I was just laughing in the theater with joy, like when the doof, what's his name, the doof warrior comes out with this playing a freaking guitar, like he's got his own chase music happening with those big Kaito drummers on the back of a dump truck and a guitar player.
I hadn't thought of it, but what they said in the book, I forget who says this. It's like, the old cavalry charges where they would play but instead, in the future, it's a guy on guitar, at the front of the attacks. Yeah.
And that wide shot of the whole armada racing towards camera with the polecats on those big poles sweeping back and forth. I'm like, what am I watching? Yeah. This is amazing.
It's a testament to practical. Obviously there's a lot of digital work in there, but the really heavy lifting, the huge stunts, those are all, that's all done practically. You sit there and marvel at it. And it just shows you when real gravity is involved and real physics, how much more satisfying that is than a bunch of nonsense CGI. I love the movie. I appreciated the movie when I first saw it, but after reading the book, I appreciate it even more. And particularly in light of this draconian academy that they're now blaming on ABC, but it's so offensive to all of us who work in the film business.
Screw those guys.
Well, I think a lot of people feel that way, and obviously, just today, I think when we're recording, Kathleen Kennedy and James Cameron, spoke out against it. It's so dismissive. We all grew up watching the Oscars, and I think in a way it was part of helping ferment our love of cinema and learning about the crafts of making movies and honoring all these different crafts, and the fact that they would just, because the reality is that, oh, well, they'll still be there and they'll still be in the broadcast, but of course they can edit it down to virtually nothing. And, the chance for...
All the actors have their own awards show. All the directors have their own awards. The producers have their own awards. This is the only time when members of the crafts can be honored.
Mm-hmm.
It's just appalling.
Oh, they have the friggin' Golden Globes too. I mean, there's all these stupid award shows that celebrate actors and directors. But yeah, the craft. I mean,
some of the greatest moments come from those speeches from the production designers, the sound designers, and the composers and all this stuff.
And even if they don't, that's not the point of the show. The point of the show is to honor these other people that we never see.
Yep. They're trying to appeal to an audience that isn't going to watch anyway. No. So you should steer into the audience that loves films and loves the technology behind it, or the crafts behind it.
No, follow the greed.
And when I was a kid, it was the thing that, when I would watch the Oscars, my favorite things were actually watching the craft Oscars. I didn't care as much about the actors and the directors, because when they would show all the craft stuff, it was like, here's the production design, here's the costume design, like here's this scene that was edited, like here's the score. And to me, that blew my mind, because that was the thing that made me realize that, someone makes movies. And it just made it more magical to me.
They created these little video packages that would illustrate what they did, which was so great. And, for us who are a little older than you are, I remember what it was like, begging my parents to let me stay up, past midnight on the East Coast. And, to see, these legendary stars. It wasn't just when Jack Nicholson was sitting in the front row, but, it was still Cary Grant was alive and Alfred Hitchcock. And, sure, they were in the winter of their years, Katharine Hepburn, Henry Fonda. I mean, it was like all these stars, and it was like, it was something really, really special. And also, these great Chuck Workman montages that would celebrate the history of film. And I have to say, I know everybody says, last year was each year is the worst Oscars are. Last year was truly the worst Oscar ceremony. And it wasn't because of the pandemic. The fact is, there was no effort to pay tribute to any movie like before 2005. I mean, there's no sense of Hollywood history, no sense of glamour. And here they were in Union Station. It seemed like the perfect chance to go vintage and go. Instead, they were doing shtick with Glenn. I don't even know what they were doing. I'm trying to put it out of my head.
It was awful. And it has become a shadow of its former self.
And I love that, if you go to Academy website, they have a lot of these old Oscar ceremonies you can stream, and you go back, it's like, oh my God, this was Hollywood. This was glamour. And it's funny because my pick almost was the Oscar, because I'm so indignant. I say, what can besmirch the Oscars? What puts more mud on the Oscars than watching the Oscar? And, but the
funny part about it is that Hollywood isn't even in Hollywood anymore. So the whole thing is fizzling away. The industry is dissolving right in front of our eyes. So I think it's just it's a symptom of the whole disease, honestly.
I hope not. I hope movies still mean something to people. I hope after the pandemic, people still go and seek films out on the big screen.
I hope so too.
And we'll see, to be continued. But on that note,
Friday.
That brings us to Friday, and I wonder if there is possibly a consensus pick for.
I have a suggestion that I think encapsulates, and it is only in the context of this is the 4:30 movie. This is the best of the 4:30 movie, and in the spirit of something that kind of grabs everything that we've always talked about, that comes back again and again and again as a template for our conversations, for our jokes, for our gentle jibes.
You already picked Cloak and Dagger.
I did pick Cloak and Dagger, but for Friday, I'm suggesting the Muppet
movie. No.
I mean, come on, man.
Well, it's got Muppets. It's got old Hollywood stars. It's about going to Hollywood. Orson Welles.
Being manipulated by unknown forces.
It got Orson Welles. So, from Citizen Kane to the Muppet movie.
Yes, always.
Prepare the standard rich and famous contract. Mark is not convinced.
I think it's an interesting suggestion. I think I need to hear other suggestions. However.
Yes.
Anyone.
Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane, which truly is the best of the 430.
The Muppet Citizen Kane.
Muppets.
Wow, that would be amazing.
See, and that's why the Muppet movie needs to be the best.
But the Muppet movie, is a wonderful movie, and it's given us so much. It's not a great movie.
The Muppet movie is a better idea than it is a movie.
I mean, all this
like
stuff.
this podcast.
Speak for yourself, Wednesday.
Yeah,
that's right.
Or we're going to go with Turkish Star Wars.
Not a bad suggestion.
Look, I think, Apocalypse Now, The Godfather, Godfather 2.
Well, or Planet of the Apes week.
Planet of the Apes
itself.
Or we could pick something I just watched a couple weeks ago, The Godfather Saga, The Godfather Epic.
But that was for TV.
That was the novel for television.
TV is not eligible.
Well, if we're going to go there, right? If the 430 movie encapsulates kind of the love of our collective love of film and movies.
If you say the Muppet Godfather, I'm going to get.
I'm going to say the Muppet Godfather. No, I'm going to suggest one of two things: either A, Star Wars, which I'm a little bit about, or B, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is just a great goddamn movie. Which in many ways, as a movie, celebrates everything that we would love about the 430 movie as a concept.
I'd rather go with Raiders than the Muppet movie, I think. I love Raiders.
So do I.
So let's see.
Steven Soderbergh.
It gives some balance to the force here because we have, James Bridges, serious drama. We have musical. We have I don't know what the hell
Ashley
is. Fury Road sci-fi, post-apocalypse. So there is something interesting about picking Raiders, which is a fantastic adventure movie in the spirit of things like Gunga Din and
it's a good wholesome fun
and King Solomon's Mines. What about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
We don't need movies. That's for movies about Feet Week.
Movies about Feet Week.
That's you know what? That's a theme right there, man. My left foot is
the red shoes.
Muppet left foot. Oh my God! Could you see the Big Lebowski with them kidnapping Miss Piggy and taking her toe? That'd be great.
I can get you a hoof.
Oh my God! So who's the Big Lebowski and who's the other Lebowski?
Fozzie is the Big Lebowski.
Oh God, yes,
absolutely.
It really ties the room together.
Yeah,
you realize that you're making the case right now for the Muppet.
No, I'm making the case for the Muppet Lebowski.
No, the Muppet Lebowski. I think that Rolf has to be John Goodman.
Oh my, Rolf? You think?
Yeah.
Market zero.
or would that be Sam the Eagle?
Maybe Sam the Eagle.
Steve's right.
Yeah.
Sam the Eagle. Sam the Eagle. He's big. He's imposing. He has that deep baritone.
You're out of your element. You're out of your element.
And you ever act a stranger in the ass?
Does that make Jesus like Kermit?
No. You can't do that to Kermit.
Jesus is gonna you in the ass, man.
Kermit rolls.
Kermit is the rich Lebowski. No, that's probably Statler.
Oh yeah, that gotta be Statler. Oh my God, Statler and Waldorf. They'd be so
They're
great.
brothers, the Lebowski, big Lebowski brothers.
Beaker is definitely Steve Buscemi.
Beaker is Steve Buscemi.
Actually,
yes.
Statler can be that guy, and then who's what's his name? Ben Gazzara.
Kermit is Jackie Treehorn.
Oh, Kermit is Jackie Treehorn. That's great. I was going to say, Statler and Waldorf, one of them could be, but Kermit's better as Jackie Treehorn.
He's a good man, and Thora.
Oh yeah. No, that should be. You know who that should be? What's her name?
Janine.
Janice from the band.
Oh, for sure. He's a good man.
Well, no, she should be the wife.
Yeah.
Janice should be the wife.
Yeah.
No, Miss Piggy's the wife.
No, Miss Piggy should be
the daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
because she has a bigger role and she's more entertaining.
Tara Reid.
No. Tara Reid is hardly in the movie.
Yeah.
You don't think that, but you want to take Miss Piggy?
Maud is Miss Piggy.
Maud is Miss Piggy. Interesting. I could go for that. Wow, I so want to see this movie. I thought I wanted to see,
but Sam Elliott is still Sam Elliott.
Yeah, exactly. He's the special human guest star.
He's the one. No, Michael Caine is Sam Elliott.
You got to say the book so much.
Sam Elliott, yeah. Apparently, as long as there's no themes that Florida would disapprove of.
My Fozzie is terrible.
Oh my God, Sam Elliott and Sam Elliott as Sam Elliott. Oh my God, the Fozzie
take her easy, dude. Have it your way.
Well, and who plays John Polito? The other detective,
the Seamus.
I'm
a dick.
I'm working in shifts.
We got this, guys. We got this. I got the whole Coen Brothers oeuvre done with Muppets.
Is it Scooter?
By the way, did you watch the tragedy of Macbeth on Apple?
Not yet.
I accidentally watched the comedy of Macbeth.
The comedy version?
Yeah.
It's stunning. It's stunningly shot. Okay. Well, guys, we got to decide. So what's it going to be?
It actually could be the real Big Lebowski.
Could be. We haven't picked any Coen Brothers movies.
And the Big Lebowski is kind of about movies.
What about No Country for Old Men?
Great movie, but doesn't feel quite on point. Right? Like, if in that respect, I would go more for, back to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Because I feel like either we need for Friday to do something that encapsulates this podcast, encapsulates everything that we love about films, or is kind of says something funny.
I will make the case for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because I feel it's an elegy for the age of Hollywood that is lost, that we love so much, that we celebrate here. But you could also make that case for Sunset Boulevard or Ed Wood.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But these are both black and white films that the younger people probably won't be able to identify with.
Well, that's their problem.
That's right. Unlike Mad Max Fury Road Blood and Chrome Edition.
Oh, God. It left with so many difficult choices.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Tough guys don't dance. There you go. Tough guys don't dance. We got our picks from
Friday.
We have picked Raiders of the Lost Ark at least twice on the show.
At least. But it's a whole new ball game here on the 4:30 movie.
That's what I'm saying. Is it a good pick since we have picked it twice?
That's why we're picking The Natural.
The movie is so nice.
Should it be the Oscar,
Mr. Hobb? I think we got to talk about the Oscar on the Oscars show.
Yeah. Okay. If we do an Oscar show, we've done.
We're going to do an Oscar show.
Oh yeah, we are. We're going to talk about editing and production design and composers.
We're going to talk about everything but the goddamn actors.
Yeah, screw those guys. Except Michael Caine.
Well, Gene's retired, so
yeah, that's right.
That means he only does 2 movies a year.
Both of them with Michael Caine.
What about the Wild Bunch for Friday?
Sure.
Just except that names now
it's just like movies that we think are great, as opposed to the 4:30.
What about our favorite Christmas movies? No, okay. So we want to sum up the 4:30 movie. Steve said the Muppet movie, which was a really interesting.
No, Ashley said the Muppet movie.
Ashley said the Muppet movie. We then threw out Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We talked about. We didn't talk about Casablanca.
Raiders
of the Lost Ark was in the mix. Star Wars was in the mix.
We're not curing rocket science here. We're
not doing rocket surgery.
I do like the idea of the Muppet movie because it is a good movie. It's a fun movie, and it does kind of encapsulate an element of the podcast. Showbiz
and puppets.
Maybe we should pick a movie about standing up to fascism.
Like the Muppet movie.
Like the Muppet movie.
Won't be picking from Russia with Love, I'll tell you that.
Inglourious Bastards. They killed Hitler. Spoiler alert.
What?
They kill Hitler tonight on Inglourious Bastards.
Tonight in the 4:30 movie.
This shouldn't be that difficult.
No, I guess we should. I guess we should go with the Muppet movie. I guess.
Hollywood, the pot of gold at the rainbow's end.
Hey, we're all going to Hollywood. You want to come with us? Hollywood?
It's time to grab your pack, stick out your thumb, and hitch a ride for the adventure of your life.
Hey, wait for me!
It's Jim Henson's The Muppet Movie.
Moving right along. Footloose and fancy free. You know, I hear this movie is dynamite.
It's a story of the open road where hopeful hitchhikers come by the carload.
One of them?
No thanks. I'm on my way to New York City to try to break into public television.
There's Fozzie at the wheel.
A bear in his natural habitat. A Studebaker.
Kermit guiding the way.
Turn left if you come to a fork in the road.
Fork in the road.
I don't believe that.
And a roadside distraction named Miss Piggy.
Wow.
Hogging the spotlight. Now it's all aboard.
Everybody on to Hollywood!
As the Muppets hit the jackpot.
They're the standard rich and famous contract for Kermit the Frog and Company.
And Hollywood stars get into the act. Milton Berle, Richard Pryor, Bob Hope, Steve Martin, and others.
Would you taste it for us, please?
Excellent choice.
And now Hollywood will never be the same.
Stand by. Here we go.
Yeah.
You know,
a cocktail movie.
Sure.
You know, for kids.
It leaves those other great movies available to be used again.
Well, we
right.
can use
Talk
anything.
about more thoroughly.
We reinvented the show. We can use everything is eligible. We don't
In
need
which
to.
case-
Not the ones from tonight.
Yeah, that's right. So, and and there are plenty of other Muppet movies. When else are we going to talk about it? It's a very 4:30 movie thing.
I mean, I feel like we got the Wizard of Oz. It's kind of like, so
There's
we're going to
no
have the
Muppets
Muppet
in there.
movies too. But okay,
Yeah. Muppets in there.
okay. I'll go along with it. I'm not excited about it, but I'll go along with it. I'm much more excited about Muppet Big Lebowski.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
That's why.
That to me is
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
okay. Well, tell us what we've won. Monday on the 4:30 movie, Steve's pick.
Monday is John Houseman in 1973's The Paper Chase.
Darren on Tuesday.
Tuesday, it's everybody in The Wizard of Oz.
Wednesday, Ashley's back with
Dabney Coleman and Henry Thomas star in a Richard Franklin film of a Tom Holland script, 1984's Cloak and Dagger.
Thursday, it's sand and more sand. And I'm not talking about Lawrence of Arabia. It's Fury Road.
It's coarse and it gets everywhere.
And Friday,
Like my children.
we finish up the week with The Muppet Movie.
The Muppet Movie.
And we got some. We got a bridge. We got Rainbow Connection coming to you all season long. We got some great shows planned. We hope you'll stick with us. We appreciate the support. And I got to say, before we leave you, thank you everyone who has sent tweets and posts and in person. We Darren and I recently did a couple of public appearances at the Skirball. Everyone who told us how much they missed the 4:30 movie and how anxious they were for it to return. We're sorry it took so long. It was a long hiatus. But thankfully, we've all been very busy and also recording our other podcasts. Steve and Ashley with Cartoon Barroom, Darren and I and Ashley with Inglorious Trexperts, and an entirely different podcast, Trexperts Briefing Room on occasion. But we're so grateful that we have such a loyal and such a great audience that continues to grow. The 4:30 movie.
Thanks for your patience.
And thank you so much for your patience. We're thrilled to be back and bringing you a whole new season of Fantasy Theme Weeks. And we have some great ones planned. So until next week.
And let me just interject. If I might interject at this juncture, if any of our listeners have a suggestion for a theme week, please tweet it at us and we will duly consider it.
Do that at 4:30 movie. You can do that at 430 Movie Podcast on Twitter, the 430 Movie on Instagram, or at the 430 Movie on Facebook.
Or you can always take the advice of Griffin Mill. Keep it to yourself.
The player. What about the player for Friday?
Too late. It's over.
Too late. We've already committed.
It's over.
We're committed to this unwise course of
over, Johnny.
Course of action. How do you define unwarranted? Okay, so anyway, we want to thank Mark Rivera, our great sound engineer, Bill Ritter, our executive sound engineer, our producers, Peter Holstrom, Natalie Muscali, Zach Raggets, and of course, all of you for tuning in once again as we begin season 5 of the 430 Movie. Until then, Eyewitness News starts now.
This show is produced by Dean Devlin and Mark A. Altman and is an Electric Surge Network production.